This is the Professional Edge, hosted by Todd, tax attorney, CPA, certified financial planner. We're talking about love potion number 9 and how this impacts your estate planning concepts. Been talking about significant others. Now let's change gears and move to the estate plan. What is going to be your plan when you pass away? Unfortunately, 1/2 of all individuals are without any sort of estate plan in place, and that is very significant because no one's getting out of this alive. The fountain of youth has not been discovered, so we all know that we're going to need some sort of estate plan when we pass away. And unfortunately, bad things happen to good people, and it's a wake-up call. So are your estate planning documents in place? That is, do you have a last will and testament? Last will and testament says, when I pass away, I want my property to go to X individual, and if that individual does not survive me, then we have a contingent beneficiary. That's one thing. We could have your personal property. Who's that going to go to? And then also your remainder of your stuff. But as a listener here on the Professional Edge, we all know that your last will and testament will not control the disposition of all your items, because we have beneficiary designations, we have legal title, which supersedes your estate planning documents, and we also have the ability to designate, which supersedes. So again, when you do your coordinated estate plan, that's where we take into account the financial instruments in which you have in your estate. That would be your bank accounts, your brokerage accounts, your qualified accounts, your life insurance. Maybe you own an annuity. So all those things need to be coordinated, and these are different financial instruments. And being a certified financial planner, a tax attorney, a CPA, that's where this is an integrated estate plan. And they all need to be coordinated. They all need to be addressed, because the legal title on the deed, the client calls in for an appointment and they get a list of documents that I need to take a look at. And they say, wow, do you really need to look at these things? And I say, well, do you ask your doctor the same question? Do you really need to take my blood pressure? Do you really need to take my temperature? Or are you just going to ask them to wing it? Well, doctors aren't going to wing it. And if you're a decent estate planning attorney, you're not going to wing it either. So that's why we request these documents, because they have legal significance on how they're actually titled and who the beneficiary is. So when we look at these documents, we examine the title. We're just not there saying, okay, if I pass away, I want everything to go to my spouse. And if my spouse doesn't survive, I want everything to go to my kids. Period. Done. We'll draft it real quick, sign it, and you get a cheap document and you have a cheap fee. Well, being cheap can be very costly. So where can it be costly? Well, if the beneficiary designation, there's a payable on death account designation on, let's say, the brokerage account, you can have this. And the decedent passes away, but yet the document says different. So I'm giving everything to my surviving spouse, and lo and behold, I have a payable on death designation on the large brokerage account. Well, guess what? The surviving spouse is going to walk into the brokerage firm and say, okay, I'm here to get my account from my decedent husband. Well, the brokerage firm is going to look at each other, look back at you and say, sorry, you're not entitled to that. He has left the payable on death designation to his children, if this is a second marriage, and therefore you're outside looking in. The payable on death designation supersedes whatever is in the estate planning document. So this is why you need a coordinated estate plan. And a great thing that we put together for our listeners here on the Professional Edge is at emcthebundle.com. That is Echo Mary Charlie, thebundle.com. So back to this payable on death designation. That supersedes the provisions of the estate planning documents, and that's why each one of these accounts need to be reviewed to make sure that it's a coordinated estate plan. So the love potion number 9 has its effect again. So what about the next thing that we're going to look at is The life insurance, a lot of individuals have group policies through their employer. They don't have an individual policy, so therefore they can't have ownership of that policy because it's a group policy. So therefore we're not worried about the ownership. We're worried about the beneficiary designation. Now, this is normally the largest lump sum that anyone is going to ever inherit at one fell swoop. Life insurance proceeds are claimed, the benefits are received. Are those taxable? Well, that's always a discussion. We have a group insurance policy or an individual insurance policy. Whether it is a group or an individual policy is irrelevant to taxation as long as we don't have transfer for value rule issues. That's another thing to put in the back of your hat. Have we transferred this policy around for value? Depends. So if there is that case, then the proceeds are not going to be excluded from taxable income. A portion there is, but the other portion would be included in taxable income. But let's step away from that. That's a conversation to have at the Cunningham Center behind closed doors. It's a confidential discussion that we have. To set that up, you can give our office a call at 877-654-9798. That number again, 877-654-9798. Or we can also do that Zoom call. It's pretty amazing. We could be anywhere in the world and have a conversation face-to-face, virtually. So again, 877-654-9798. So back to this beneficiary designation on the life insurance. Individual is going to receive that. We're going to have a death certificate to make that claim. The payments are going to be received. And lo and behold, it took 90 days to process. So there is a taxable component normally of that little bit of interest that the insurance company is going to pay. So the death benefit, let's say $100,000, is going to be income tax excluded. But the little bit of interest that the insurance company is going to pay you is interest income. That has to be on the tax return. So that is the next item that we need to look at with Love Potion number 9, estate planning when you're with someone. So what about the individual that you manage all the financial affairs, the decision making, your spouse is sort of along for the ride. It could be her. She's the financial wizard in the house, which is fine. When something happens to her, what is going to happen to the money, the investments, the tax planning? Well, you sort of don't want to leave your spouse who's not sophisticated to be exposed to what I call the sharks, because actually, unbeknownst to a lot of individuals, there is a data mining of the probate court records. We go there, not we, but companies go there, and they mine that data to see who has passed away, who the heirs are, because on the public display of documents, we have to list all this information. Imagine that, a data mining company getting the information for an estate. We have the address of the beneficiaries and the address of the executor or executrix. So it's pretty straightforward, and now you're being solicited. So wouldn't it be great to have an ongoing relationship, to know when you passed away that your surviving spouse already has a professional relationship with an advisor to guide them down the road? Because we've seen where a lot of individuals don't have this relationship established, and they make some tremendous mistakes right after their spouse has passed away. So don't be that person. Establish a relationship, get that ongoing. That way you're comfortable sort of handing over the reins to that advisor to help your surviving spouse if that's needed. Again, to start that conversation, give our office a call at 877-654-9798. That number again, 877-654-9798. Again, in the current environment, we can do a Zoom call, we can do a Microsoft Teams meeting, whichever is convenient for you, or if you're okay, we can meet at the Cunningham Center. If you like the great city of Atlanta and the traffic jam that we normally have, we can also meet up here at our office there. So, love potion number 9, we're talking about estate planning. Then, let's say we're no longer here, or we're in that last stage of life. What document do we need? Well, the document that we need is an advanced healthcare directive. And that allows you, the person who signs that document, to make your own healthcare decisions. And do you want to be resuscitated? Do you want to have nutrition and hydration continued to you when you are unconscious? That is, remember Terry Schreibo, I believe that's how you pronounce her last name. She was in a vegetative state for approximately 8 years connected to a machine. And there was a big discussion on who had the authority to disconnect her from that life support system. That was 8 years. And I know a lot of you say, well, we had Jimmy connected to the machine and Jimmy turned himself around and, Jimmy lived another 10 years. I got it. There's always medical recovery, but also there's non-medical recovery, and therefore they pass away. So what are we going to do at that last stage of life? Well, the Advanced Healthcare Directive document allows you, the decision maker, to make your own decisions whether you want nutrition and hydration to be continued during that last stage of life, or if you have a terminal condition. That way, that burden is off your spouse or off your children. They're just following your directions. Still a very emotional time, but at least they can refer and say, well, this is what dad wanted, or this is what mom wanted. Let's follow their wishes, and therefore their conscience can be clear. So again, that's another document that you need if love potion number 9 comes into play and you are planning your estate. So again, there's certain documents. One, you need a will, maybe, or you may need a trust. Second document is a financial power of attorney. There's a difference between a regular financial attorney and a durable financial power of attorney. And then even though we have a durable financial power of attorney, we might have a springing durable financial power of attorney. So again, these things all matter. They will be used because we know no one's getting out of this alive. So wake up call to get your estate planning documents done. That's why we're talking about love potion number 9. We fall in love, and now we have this relationship called marriage, and make sure that all in our family is protected. So do you actually need a trust? Well, let's talk about that real quick. Well, a trust is another document that we can use to plan your estate. It's instead of a last will and testament. And therefore, we draft the trust, place the items in the trust, and therefore you can avoid the probate court process. So if that's of interest to you, avoiding the probate court process, keeping your affairs private, do give us a call at 877-654-9798. That number again, 877-654-9798. We have a confidential, candid conversation whether you actually need a trust to reap its benefits. More coming up here on The Professional Edge. My name's Todd, tax attorney, CPA, certified financial planner, host of The Professional Edge.
We've all thought about it. Everyone listening will need one. Not having one can cause untold heartache, family conflict escalating to the point of a lawsuit. One simple thing that avoids all that: an effective estate plan. As a practicing tax attorney, Todd with Estate Management Counselors has completed over 1,000 estate plans during his 15 years of professional practice. He can help you implement an effective estate plan, coordinate your financial accounts, and make sure you have named the proper beneficiaries to maximize your tax savings. Call 877-654-9798 today and let tax attorney Todd help you implement an effective estate plan. Call 877-654-9798 today. As a tax attorney, CPA, for over 15 years, Todd has implemented over 1,000 individual estate plans. He has recently authored an especially helpful guide, How to Unlock the Ultimate Estate Plan. This guide has helped many individuals to understand the benefits of an estate plan and how to avoid unintended disasters. has made every attempt to write this in plain English. To receive this valuable guide, How to Unlock the Ultimate Estate Plan, call 1-877-654-9798 and request your complimentary copy today, or by emailing your request to info@emcadvisors.net.